What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Rehash the Slash. This is the horror YouTube channel where we discuss horror movies and horror movie accessories. I'm Nate, and I'm joined with
Paige.
And today we are discussing Friday the 13th, Part 1. Again.
This
is the common theme of this channel, is re-recording episodes that you already did in a never-ending cycle. It's like we're in the Twilight Zone.
Yep.
So we are going to be discussing Friday the 13th. Spoilers ahead. You had 40 years to see the movie. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry.
No.
We're also going to be discussing some fan theories. I'm going to have a little fun, try and debunk them, maybe discuss the plausibility of them. I don't know. So let's just get right into it. Paige, why don't you give us a brief synopsis of Friday the 13th, Part 1?
Okay, so Google says, Crystal Lake's history of murder doesn't deter counselors from setting up camp. They pay little heed to old-timers. Stalked by a brutal killer, Jason, or is it Jason? It's not.
Nope.
It's not.
Spoilers, nope.
Follows them as they struggle against a merciless opponent. This movie came out on May 9th of 1980, directed by Sean S. Cunningham. We also have a favorite quote from this movie that we will include right here.
You see, Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
All right, let's just jump into it.
Yep, so we're not really going to discuss the movie like a play-by-play because, of course, most people have already seen it. Friday the 13th is a very discussed film. So what were your initial thoughts of Friday the 13th?
Well, watching it, like you told me, Kevin Bacon was in it.
Yeah.
It's his second big feature film.
Yeah.
Aside from Animal House before this.
True. I always thought this was his first movie. I was pretty disappointed to learn that it wasn't. I was like damn.
A young Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, him and his friends are introduced with the worst cornball ass music. That fucking banjo.
Hey, Marcy. You really think there'll be other gorgeous women at Camp Crystal Lake besides yourself?
So good. Yeah, I thought it was, for the first movie in the series, since we've been kind of plowing through them.
Yeah.
I think as a starter it was good.
Yeah, it's definitely, I wouldn't say it's my favorite Friday the 13th.
No.
But of course you got to respect it because it's the one that started it all.
Yes.
Of course, Friday the 13th is definitely 110% inspired by Halloween.
Yes.
So there's no beating around the bush. It's not exactly, an original movie.
No.
Of course, it's also very similar to Psycho in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Kind of, instead of Norman being his mother, it's, Pamela being her son with the whole voice thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always thought that was interesting. Something, of course, obviously at the end of the movie, Pamela gets her head cut off.
Yeah.
So they couldn't really build on that.
No.
But I always thought that would be an interesting idea if they could have evolved that in some way.
Yeah, that would have been cool. If they brought her back in some way.
And well, I guess they kind of brought her back in part 3 for the end of the movie, but that was just a stupid thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they could have done something interesting with it, but I'm fine with Jason.
Right.
Totally fine with Jason.
Yeah, definitely adds to the masked killer genre type. Yeah.
Definitely one of those movies. Wasn't the first Friday the 13th movie I saw. The first one I saw was part 7. So going back when I was young and watching it for the first time and genuinely not knowing who the killer was always something really interesting in my head. And I feel like even to this day, if you talk to people outside of the horror genre, a lot of people would also assume that Jason's been the killer the whole time.
Watching it up until, I don't know, I kind of got the vibe from the scene where, I don't remember her name, she's kind of hitchhiking to get to the camp.
Oh yeah, the first girl that dies.
Yeah, that scene where she's getting picked up in the Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of assumed it was either Like, I didn't know, like, right off the bat that Jason's face was all deformed.
Yeah.
I thought that it was either him in, like, some type of a disguise or his mom somehow being involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, obviously, the scene where the camp counselor that they're all coming there to meet, the one scene where it's raining and he's like, oh, what are you doing out here in this mess?
Steve Christie. Yeah.
I was kind of like, okay, like, it's not Jason, it's someone else.
Yeah, it's like someone they knew. And
Right.
of course, it's revealed later that Pamela was the cook at the time when her son died. What I was gonna say was it's such like a meme that, you know, everyone thinks Jason has been the killer of the entire franchise, that in the first Scream movie, that was like, you know, when Drew Barrymore picks up the phone.
Name the killer in Friday the 13th.
Jason! Jason! Jason!
I'm sorry. That's the wrong answer.
No, it's not! No, it's not! It was Jason!
Afraid not? No way.
Listen, it was Jason! I saw that movie 20 goddamn times!
Then you should know Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, was the original killer. Jason didn't show up until the sequel.
That's always been funny to me. That's like one of the best parts of Scream, is that little horror trivia part.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about some of our favorite kills in the movie. There's a lot of subpar kills in this movie. A lot of off-screen deaths. A lot of stab under the camera deaths.
Yes.
Fade to white deaths.
Right.
Where you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
But there's some really cool ones. So Paige, what was your favorite kill in Friday the 13th?
My favorite kill was definitely just the very last one with Pamela getting beheaded. So cool.
Such a cool effect. Awesome fight scene too. Like as far as I understand from watching the bonus features and such, is the main girl Alice and Mrs. Voorhees were actually kind of like beating the shit out of each other because the movie was so low budget that they really couldn't afford stunt people or anything like that. So they're kind of really like throwing each other around,
going at it.
Yeah, and you can tell. I mean, I'm like when they're rolling around on the beach, I'm like, damn.
Right.
Like they're kind of fucking each other up. But yeah. Fun fact about that kill too is the hands that come up are actually Tom Savini's hands, who did the makeup effects for this movie. Of course, most of you guys know that. Not a revelation there, but you can totally tell because it's just straight up like
man hands,
hairy hands, and you're just like, I don't think an old lady's hands would really look like that.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
And your favorite kill?
My favorite kill is a very classic kill, and that is the Kevin Bacon, the old arrow through the neck.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Another fun fact about that kill is that the prop actually malfunctioned, so whoever, I don't know if it was Tom Savini specifically who was under the bed, but whoever was operating the prop had to actually blow the blood out through the tube, and that's kind of why after the initial like poke, it's like starts squirting out and even gets on Kevin Bacon's face a little bit.
Dedication.
Yeah, I feel like that made it look even cooler because I don't really know. Maybe the blood wasn't supposed to spurt out like that at all.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe not.
Yeah, it just added that little extra like, oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a great kill. Very iconic moment.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, if it's a knife stab or like coming through it would almost have to like, that vein, that artery is like, so.
Yeah. But it's kind of like a slow, you know,
Yeah,
it's like a slow drive with the arrow through the neck.
Yeah. All right. So you want to jump into these fan theories?
Yes, we're going to discuss two prominent fan theories. One being which Pamela used the Necronomicon to resurrect Jason, and the other one being that Jason didn't really drown, and that he's just kind of been helping his mom kill these people.
Yeah.
I see these fan theories a lot.
Yeah, these are kind of like the two
big
main ones that we can get into, I feel like, without talking about the other movies.
Right.
I feel like there's some theories that kind of like tie all the movies together and we're just strictly talking about this one.
We're just going to focus on this. So let's discuss the Necronomicon, which now that we've gotten to the point where we watch Jason Goes to Hell.
Yes.
For those of you who live under a rock or just don't pay attention when you watch a movie, the Necronomicon is in Jason Goes to Hell for a very brief moment.
Right.
And that's in the Voorhees house. And love or hate Jason Goes to Hell, I mean, there's some goodies in that movie.
Yes.
And the director of that movie, Adam Marcus, really perpetuates this idea that at least in his universe, because it was funny when we were watching Jason Goes to Hell and you were bringing up like, why is there so much lore in this movie out of nowhere?
Right.
Because they really do just like throw a bunch of shit at you.
Yeah, exactly.
And including Jason just randomly having a sister.
Yeah.
But then when I was watching some clips of Friday the 13th when I was initially editing the first take of this, and Mrs. Voorhees specifically says, Jason is my only child.
Right.
In the movie. And I was like, okay, so...
It's kind of like that 70s show.
Yeah.
Where they bring in, like, oh, yeah, Donna has a sister. And
Right.
It's like...
Just like, where did that come from?
Right, like, okay, where's she at it? Oh, and they're like, weird comparison.
Yeah, except for they don't even try to explain how Jason has a sister and Jason Goes to Hell. They're just like, she's his sister.
Yeah, like, okay, like...
But anyways, so
anyways.
the theory is as follows, and that after Jason drowned and Pamela was distraught, looking all throughout the lands, trying to find ways to bring Jason back to life, she stumbled upon the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead series, and she used that to resurrect her son, and that would explain why he is immortal and very hard to kill.
Right.
And that would basically also mean he is a Deadite. So, Paige, what do you think about this theory? Do you think this could be something that could have happened, or...
I don't really think so.
Yeah.
I don't know, you watch, like, movies like The Evil Dead and, like, especially, like, the new one, like, the new Evil Dead. It's like, okay, she was just one of these, like, one of the characters in the movie, this was his sister, and she was still trying to kill him.
Right.
And it's almost as though I can't believe it, because it's like, okay, well, I honestly think that Jason would still try and kill his mom.
Yeah, because Deadites don't really care who you are or what their relationship is to you.
Right. They're just like, okay, like, I'm back, like, let's get to it. I'm here to kill. Like,
and kind of like it didn't really spread to anyone else. If we're going strictly by Evil Dead lore here.
Right.
Where it kind of spreads to people one after another. Obviously the line, one by one will take you.
Right.
So I don't know why it wouldn't have spread to anyone else at any point. I mean, this, of course, like...
We're getting deep into it.
Yeah, this wouldn't happen at all. Right. This is just me rambling at this point, but...
Yeah.
I like the idea, though.
Right, yeah, it was a cool idea. Like, whoever thought of this, like, it was kind of unique.
Yeah, because the whole idea, I mean, the canon and the lore of Friday the 13th in general just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's very hard to make sense of any of it, because it was, I mean, they were literally just movies that were put out every year to make a ton of money.
Right.
So they were kind of just like, eh.
Yeah. I mean, it's entertaining. I mean, it's another slasher movie, so...
I mean, I love... Friday the 13th is my favorite out of the, the big three.
Right.
I would say. But just trying to make sense of it at all is just like, there's no chance. There's absolutely no chance at all.
Right.
So...
I mean, yeah. Good theory.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Right.
But, again, we're just, crazy theories. So what is the other theory?
The next one... found, it wasn't like the best one either. It was Jason is an adult and has been helping his mom the whole time.
Right. Because there's a lot of scenes in Friday the 13th where you're kind of questioning how one pretty elderly woman would be able to do certain things, like, the throw the body through the window.
Yeah.
Or have the his name escapes me at the moment, but the guy that's stuck to the door with the arrows through him, his feet are dangling off the ground, so she would have to, like, hold him up and then put the arrows in him.
Yeah.
But I feel like if that was the case, though, then why would she even want to kill people if he was alive?
She was like, yeah, like, I'm done. Like,
because the whole point of her being distraught is that the counselors weren't paying any attention.
Right.
And that was why she wanted to kill them.
Mm-hmm.
So why would she figure out that her son is alive and he's perfectly fine, just like, you know, how he normally was,
Yeah.
and then still want to murder people? That's what doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see, like, maybe she, her kind of taking that over. Because didn't it say it was, like, the first time in however many years that the camp had been open, that they were, like, reopening it?
Well, yeah, after the drowning, and then when Pamela initially killed the 2 kids,
Yeah.
then it was closed for presumably from 1957 to 1980 when
Right.
the movie takes place.
Yeah.
So it was closed for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why, like... Yeah, if after all these years, was it, like, her death that kind of, like, triggered Jason to come back? Like, watching his mom get killed on the...
Well, yeah,
on the beach?
when you get into the later movies, I mean, they kind of say that in 2, is that somehow Jason saw his mother get decapitated, and that's
Right.
what sprung him into action. But this specific theory is saying that he was helping her in part 1.
Right.
So, again, like, if that was the case, then why would she even bother murdering these
Right,
people?
because I could see, like, after, what was it, 11 years of him, like, drowning, and then... Where did that come from? It was like 11 years. He was 11 years old when he died, wasn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's where I'm getting that from. Yeah, I could see, like, after however many years of this camp being open, him, like, kind of, like, coming back and doing it on his own. I don't know why they were just like, okay, like, she's gonna murder people.
Or maybe he wanted revenge and she wanted to help him.
Eh?
Hey!
I mean, that's a possibility. I wish that they could have done something, like, earlier on. Like, if he supposedly had a sister,
Yeah.
they could have made it, like, a family affair.
Right.
But-
And they also, in Jason Goes to Hell, mention his dad's name very briefly, Elias.
Yeah.
But, of course, that's not touched
Yeah.
on at all. So.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, do I think it's the best theory? I don't know. These theories are kind of...
Yeah, they're just kind of whatever.
Yeah.
But I just thought it would be fun to discuss them.
Right.
Just because it's interesting that people try to make sense of Friday the 13th.
Right.
I've never sat around and, like, pondered, like, how did this happen? Because, I mean, Jason is randomly an adult in
Yeah.
part 2.
Yeah.
When at the end of the first movie, I mean, some people interpret it as a dream, some people interpret it as reality. When Jason comes up out of the water, grabs Alice, and drags her under.
Yeah.
So it's really up to your interpretation. I personally think that was a dream.
Yeah, they even say it's a dream sequence. Like,
Right.
she kind of woke up and thought that had happened, and they were just like, no, like, you're going insane.
Right. Or did it really happen?
Or did it?
Right. It's still left open. Another thing I wanted to talk about, though, was the fact that it's mentioned that his birthday is on Friday the 13th, which in the context of the movie would mean June 13th.
Yeah, June 13th, 1946.
So, like, that's just never mentioned again at all at
Yeah.
any point. Just a
And-
total, like, throwaway line to, like, kind of explain, like, why she's killing people on Friday the 13th.
Right.
So-
I mean, it doesn't necessarily help that Friday the 13th is necessarily a bad day.
Right.
Like, it's
and
just
it's
known for bad luck.
and it's not always on the same
Right.
like day of the year.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, like, okay, does Jason kill people exclusively on June 13th, or does he wait for the Friday the 13th every year?
Right.
But then when you really get into it, because part 2, 3, and 4 all take place within 3 days of each other,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, now it's Saturday the 14th.
He should be sleeping.
Yeah, like, why is he still running around killing people?
Right.
But again, that's just trying this is just trying to make sense of something that
Well, yeah.
was never truly meant to make a whole lot of sense, at least in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, it's not like a movie like Halloween where Michael Myers, it's specifically on Halloween.
Right.
It's-
like because Halloween's the same day every year,
Right.
so
I mean, I don't know, maybe that's just the point that she said in the first movie, like, oh, today's his birthday, and it just so happens to be on Friday the 13th. Like, okay.
Yeah.
But to name the movies like Friday the 13th, I would hope that they're all on a Friday the 13th, but they're not. So
right, and it was clearly like the director being like, "Oh, Halloween takes place on a day like a holiday. What holiday could we use?"
Right.
Friday the 13th, even though it's not necessarily a holiday, but
Yeah.
people look at Friday the 13th like it's a bad luck day.
Bad day.
But I don't know. It's just I've always pondered that about the movie, just being like, okay, so why?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. One of the movies takes place, like you said, like 3 days. Like, like the day it happens and then the day right after. And it's like, okay, like Friday the 13th. Cool.
He's killing people on Sunday the 15th.
Yeah.
You're just like, Jason, what are you doing, bro? Go home.
Go to church.
Go back to your little shack. Little shack in the woods with Pammy's head.
Right. Oh my god, so weird. So
Yeah.
creepy.
So let's go back to the theories
Okay.
just briefly before we wrap this up and get out of here.
All right.
Which theory do you like more? Which theory, if one could be made canon, which would you prefer?
I think it'd be crazy to see one with the Necronomicon.
I also agree. We could throw Ash in there, just
Oh,
like those
yeah.
comic books.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'd say definitely that one because I don't know, the other one just it doesn't stick with me.
Yeah, it's just too many loopholes in Jason just being an adult and helping his mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely I think the prevailing theory, the better theory is the Necronomicon theory.
Yes.
What theory do you guys prefer? Do you have any other Friday the 13th theories that we didn't discuss that you would like to discuss? Let us know in the comments down below. So that's it. That's going to be it for the first movie review of Rehash the Slash, at least in our sort of pseudo podcast series.
Yeah.
Because we're doing smaller, shorter movie reviews for like newer horror movies.
Yeah.
And this is kind of just going to be like a discussion of older stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be like the series that comes out like Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And then we'll throw a few other episodes of like you said, newer reviews during the week.
Mm-hmm.
But Wednesdays will be solely dedicated to stuff like this.
Yep. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Nate. I've been joined with
Paige.
Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Ring that bell if you want to be notified every time we are uploading. You've been watching Rehash the Slash, and we will see you next time.